All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new session of the Meet Your Architecture School. And today we're happy to have um, NITTE School of Architecture, Planning and Design. Um, they've come here to speak about their school and why you should consider NITTE School of Architecture, Planning and Design uh, for your admission to the 2021 architecture program. So those of you who are from the following batches, the 22 or 23 batches, it's going to be useful for you all as well, because this is something that's definitely interesting for you to consider the school. And it's important for you to understand what a school brings to you or gives to you in terms of or what you can get from a school rather when you join an architecture school. So today we're in conversation with Dr. Uh, Rekha Jetty, who is the director of NITTE School of Architecture, Planning and Design, as well as we have Dr. Gayatri, who's there from the School of Planning of and it's going to be a very interesting session, and this session is going to be a lot more conversational. So we're going to start off in a bit, but before we start off, in case y'all like this session and y'all are interested in finding more about the school, y'all can get on to DQ Labs or the DQ Labs learning platform, which is DQ Edge. Y'all can look for NITTE School of Architecture, and the details you will find here on this. And you could also click on this inquire button, and it would directly reach the School of Architecture, and someone from their team would get back with you. So let's get back to our original discussion about this school. So good evening, madam. Thank you so much for joining in today. Really happy to have you here.
Good evening, sir. It is also nice for us to have, have a discourse with you, because we find like every time we have been on your platform, every time there's something new coming up. And this time, I'm happy it is a one-to-one discussion rather than just a presentation, which will be much more interactive.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. Um, right. So just to get into the discussion, the core of this discussion, what would you say are the five most important aspects that your school, um, you know, can help students gain? What students will gain from your school?
See, first and the foremost thing, first point is like we have a program called Bachelor of Planning. Okay, so this Bachelor of Planning is never there across any other institutes in Karnataka other than our school under the BTO. And if you look at whole of Karnataka, there is one school in Mysore. And requirement of students to join in this planning is really good if they really take up this program, because as a country, we require almost about 3 lakh planners by 2031. As on date, we are having only just about 3,500 to 4,000 planners. So this gives a large opportunity for the students to take up the, planning program and work side by side, engineers as well as architects. One is that. Second, very important thing that is very different from the other schools is we have something called skill mapping. And this is something which only our school has started, and it has been running for quite some time, like 5 to 6 years here in NITTE. What we do here is when a student joins the college, if you look at till 12th standard, they actually study about physics, chemistry, maths, and all the general kind of subjects that get into either into the medical or get into the engineering. It's a normal kind of a stream, and they don't learn much about the, the architecture or anything to do with the planning and all these kind of things. So what happens is when the student come to any school, it is not just my school, any school for that matter, they come with lot of variations. These variations are something which are fundamental to be recognized right at the bottom. For example, students come, some are introverts, some are extroverts, some are highly technical skilled, some are very creatively skilled. And some of them are kind they have too many talents hidden, but they may be very extrovert with their group, but not in the classroom session. They are very sophisticated in kind of vocaling out their thoughts, but when they tend to write it, they write a better way of writing it. And another thing is like, if you look at the students who after 10+2, when they get into the college, especially in architecture or planning schools, you will see that these students totally come out of the their secure surrounding. Like for example, like they have a large set of students with whom they are very friendly within the schools, and but most of them get into engineering and all that. Only one student or two students want to come out into architecture or planning or design and these kind of curriculums. Then at that particular point of a time, they are totally out. They don't have new old set of friends with them. They need to make new set of friends. That calls for certain new skills, like trying to talk to the other friends and make up the friends and all that. There's a lot of new skills that they need to develop. So now as a school, what we do is we try to assess every of their skills. What is relevant for architecture? What is relevant for their personality development? What is relevant for them to be, somebody who can put forth their point to an outsider? So there are a lot number of skills that are required for an architect to really be successful. So what we try to do is each and every student's skill is mapped. To do this, we bring the student to the ground zero, which means we tell them that forget about that you have grown 15 to 16-year-old. Think that you are a tiny dot. From there we start, from the kid-like behavior, they start doing all kinds of art and craft and science, everything they start doing. And we go on mapping and try to find out which is the skill which is least in them and which is the most in them. And if you look at everybody, including me, including you, anybody in this world, there is one point which will be weaker than the other point. So we trap that particular point for each and every one of them and go on improvising their skills. So we set something called a threshold capability. Every faculty, every student has got something called a threshold capability. So we try to ensure that these students reach that threshold capability. The moment they reach that is their own baselining, then again we rise their threshold, which means to say every time they are going higher and higher in their threshold without themselves knowing that they are improving upon themselves. Generally, what happens is most of the schools, like this is all marking system when they do. Okay, last time I got 10, this time I got 18. So they try to say that, okay, 8 marks is better. But here, without their own knowing, they would have actually made twofold or threefold betterment of themselves. And by the time they come out of the school, they'll be totally a different kind of a personality with large number of, skills and all that. So that starts at the moment the students enter into the school. When they enter into the school, we map these skills. Then we also find a suitable proctor for that student. So proctor, what is this proctor going to do? There are 3 types of proctors that we have. One is a general proctor who will be generally trying to find out like why the student is late, what has happened to the student, whether the student is falling sick or is it something, general temperament, general thing. This another is a subject related. So subject related is something like, okay, if you have somebody, a close tutor or somebody, if some students are very close to their parents, if the parents are only teaching them, then they find so comfortable, talking to the parents and saying, I don't know this, teach me that, teach me this. That kind of a parent-student kind of an affinity is built up with the proctorial system. So, and even our marking system is so designed that 35% of the marks go through these proctorial, subject proctor. So thereby this subject proctor, what happens basically is, this subject proctor is not only going to take care of the student, just trying to advise them or any such thing, but they are also going to be supportive to them in case they are not able to vocal out their ideologies before, during the jury and all that. So thereby they have a support, and that support builds up over the time. After the third year, the student doesn't really require any kind of support, and they are full-fledged by themselves. And they feel it is something like a soft push given to them to fly in the way they want. That is how we take care of. And the third type proctor is there, who will be actually finding out about the students' problems in case they are not gelling with anybody and there is some other kind of problems creeping up. And this third type proctor is not noticeable by either the students or by any teachers. It is known only to me, who is the third type proctor. So I get the direct information, and with the result I can act upon it, whether it is a student teacher problem, or it is a parent and student problem, or grandparents. We have come across large number of grandparents and student problem. Those kind of problem, any kind of problem, or a campus related problem, any problem that comes up, I am always available. My doors are always available to the students, like open door, and they come and discuss, and that way that problems are solved. And this again is also linked to something called design review process, which is part of the proctorial system. What happens is, here the student, the subject proctor, assesses all the students' work, and class teacher actually gives the reviewers, saying that you go to these people and take the review. If you have seen, you would have also gone through the same thing, Dion sir, in your school days. When one teacher is very, very tough, then you tend to feel that it is better to do the way the teacher likes rather than what you like it. This would have been there with everybody, okay? And that is precisely, we don't want that to happen in our school. What we do is, like, we have a specific design review book, which is totally different, where they can take the review from any architect anywhere, whether in the airport or in the railway station or in the some food stall, and wherever they meet and they feel that, okay, they want to show their design and get a review, they can get it done. And this helps in ensuring that the ideology of the students, the concept which is derived by the student themselves, is maintained throughout the end of their project. And it is not changed because some teacher is tough or somebody scares them or something like that. Okay, so the students will be, very firm on their concept. They become very confident in answering all the reviews and juries and all that. Then another very important thing that we have developed is about we have been instituted as Institution Innovation Cell by Ministry of Education. So here what happens is we give lot of prominence to the innovations the students do. In the sense, it is hand in hand with the research. Okay, so what happens here is, like, any kind of new ideologies or anything that comes to the student, they can actually experiment it, because we have a technical open hub with the engineering colleges and design schools, which are all in our campus. They can recently, I will just tell you that I was looking towards the neuroarchitecture. Okay, neuroarchitecture is hardly heard of, but that is one of the very prominent thing which is coming up, because we have got something called the neurotransmitters in our brains. Okay, these are the one which stimulates in whichever spaces that we are staying, whether we enjoy that space or not. So how that affects, especially when you are building designing a building for the particular client and their temperaments, everything, it goes on the neuroarchitecture basis. So like that, like the students can come out. Nanotechnology is the new area. Then you have the energy efficiency, sustainability. Then apart from that, artificial intelligence is going in a big way. So all these are the new areas which are there, and through this technical open hub and the Institute Innovation Cell, we come out with a lot of projects and submit to the government. and we get the funding also for that. And apart from that, we have also we have filed through MSME for the incubation cell, and we are already like incubatee, and now we have incubated also coming up. And with the result, all the projects, funded projects come, students participate. Gayatri madam can actually tell you a couple of projects which we have done right now, where the students have really been now getting the money for the projects that they have done. It is a competition project. I think Gayatri madam, can you highlight on that couple of things? One is those projects which they have done it for that street for, I think there's one project which you recently did.
Smart City project.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a project which the government of India has identified the 100 smart cities, and they give a particular street which has to be designed. So it's like we, along with the students, the faculty and students form a group. So it's no more like a faculty and student. It's like a group of, project team members who work together, and we've submitted, and we have won the national prize for that, for Kota city.
Here, I think they worked, both architects and planners work hand in hand.
Yeah.
And
so
that is one.
That even the university which we are affiliated to, Vishweshwaraya Technological University. So those people are also encouraging these startups. So our final year batch, architecture and planning, two students have won a prize or like an award or token of appreciation from the VTU for their final year projects to be innovative.
All right, I think that is amazing actually, because so couple of things that I've noticed here from this conversation. Number one is planning as a subject, as a separate entity, and the exposure from planning is integrated with the exposure for architecture, and the students are getting that really cross-functional exposure, which is very interesting. So in a sense, they're really focusing on a whole built environment rather than just the aspect of architecture, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
That's a very interesting.
And it is highly student oriented. Like, we don't say that, see, VTU, there are many people, many colleges, they tend to feel that VTU syllabus is so much, we cannot do much. I totally disagree with that. For the simple reason, anything for that matter, if a subject is prescribed, we have our own choice to how much to elaborate on. Okay, so what we do is like, we say that, okay, student-oriented education, there are a lot of areas that student can themselves choose, and we provide the open elective platform for them. Sometimes it is like certificates we give. You say, okay, you go there and you take the program and come, and we'll give you the certificate for that. And in fact, even in the collaborative incubation cell, which is multidisciplinary there, it is not just the architectural, the planning projects we take, even journalism, that is also, and a lot of art and craft and multimedia, so many things come in there. And these students can work on any of those things that they like, that comes through the student-oriented education. And the student council is the body, 52-member body, which decides what all they want to learn and what all they want to do. And every time, like
All right, I'm not sure if Madam's internet connection has got disconnected. Yeah, but Gayatri Madam, it's an interesting area you were speaking about, and for your students to be part of this smart city project and to actually work on a street and probably win an award, that's an amazing recognition for a school that that's like NITTE.
There's a committee coming up with their own
Right. Yes, Madam,
I think, sorry, there was a break, I think.
No worries, no worries. Yeah.
So Jameso Cham and all these, this one she has taken up. And right now, just yesterday, we had been to Anikal. huge project we are getting, okay, and it is a regional development project basically, and students will be into it. If you look at it, like there is a practicality, there is a theoretical part of it, and they are learning in an open environment with engineering and design schools and all that. Everything, like a total what you call as 360 degree learning. Like I think you would have experienced that when you learn anything in only one branch.
I think there is a little stability issue.
I'll just pitch in here. So the point what we are trying to do is when VTU syllabus prescribes a certain domain, right? It says, okay, a regional plan or maybe a site plan has to be done for that particular semester. What we do is we integrate with a live project. So we have right now what she's mentioning is a project
it
of
opens
100
up and says that, okay, this question, how do I answer? Somebody will.
Yeah, go on, Gayatri, madam. Yeah.
So 100, it's 100 acres of land project. So where we are giving that as a studio project for the students.
All
So
right.
what happens is while we are interacting with the client, the student batch is also involved from the discussions, like starting discussions from the client to the final project delivery. So they kind of have the complete experience rather than having like, a teacher student discussion and just getting from one-sided perspective.
Right.
They kind of get from the client and they know how to iterate their design, kind of come out with and talk to the site engineers, project engineers, and then kind of work on all aspects, like, right? So it's not only a submission of a drawing which they give, instead they know everything in and out of the project. So that's what we focus on. So generally most of the time we try and give the live projects where they can actually go and we wish they get executed most of the time. But yeah, if not, also we submit a report to the government and say we leave it to them. It's like
Right. I think
it is like 360 degree learning complete.
yeah.
They enter into all branches.
Right. So yeah, I think your network broke in between. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I was talking to Dr. Gayatri and she was telling me how that the students get that exposure of not only studying the academic aspect,
Yeah.
but also learning the practical experiences on site.
Yeah.
And that's very important from an architecture learning perspective, right?
Yeah, that is one part of it, like the practical projects and having 360 degree learning is one part in that area. But simultaneously, the other side of the mirror is like these people go for the summer schools and winter schools. So this starts from the summer schools and winter schools from a small kind of exercises where they do hands-on experience on the ground. We go and talk to an architect, fix up on the ground. They work, not only they look at the design, but they do the construction part also. They learn and they move from city to city. And then finally, when they land up, they have a complete understanding in terms of the construction and design and all other subjects also, including history, everything. They don't go and just do a study tour where they just have to take some few pictures and come back and then present it and all that. That is not the way we do it. So what happens is they would have already got exposure through summer school and the winter schools and all that. And when we put them in the live projects like this, they are able to do wonderfully well because they know where to approach what and all that. And this at the same time, the student council helps them to direct their area of liking. So, from area of liking, we get into so many areas like totally it is a student-oriented education.
All right. So that's extremely interesting because the analogy I have in my that first comes to my mind is like students of medicine. They need to get their hands dirty. They need to participate in the surgeries. Otherwise, that learning will not be complete.
Yeah.
In a similar way, it looks like the architecture students also need to get onto the site, get
Yes.
onto interacting with people, get that exposure because that's what's going to help them with their professional lives.
Yeah, both architecture and planning, and they work hand in hand.
Right.
So they know, what is different between each other, and they support one another. If you look at most of the projects that are done in the college are something like which planners start up and architects finish up, or architects start up and planners finish up.
All right, all right. There's a question from PK online, which asks now to get into planning. Do you all accept the NATA scores to get into planning?
Yeah, NATA score is accepted, CET score is accepted, anything for that matter. There is no stipulated test as on date. But in future, it may come because from what I have understood from VTU, they are planning out a separate, board of studies for planning and design related. So if that really materialize, then they will have a separate test for that. But otherwise, till then, it will be either the CET or the NATA. They can take it up.
So apart
and in
from,
fact, if they are coming through management quota, then they can, even the JE and all that are accepted.
all right. So
technically, just to add on, any specialization, so they need not have maths, physics, chemistry as the starting one. So if they can have maths as a compulsory subject, and then they can come through without writing any exam. So they should have taken, as per the state government rule, they should have attempted one exam, not that they have to clear it, but they should have attempted one entrance test, which can either be paper JE paper 2. There is right now JE paper 3 only for planners. Okay, so either that or paper 2 NATA, CET. So any entrance test is like a state level requirement.
All right. So on those lines, so just to recap or rephrase, now a student need not be from a science background as long as mathematics is there, or is science mandatory?
See, currently as per the AICTE, it only 10+2 is required. Okay, and with this one of these entrance tests. But the thing is, the VTU still they have not made the modification. So this year there won't be much changes. It has to be 10+2 with physics and maths. But from coming year onwards, there will be a lot of changes coming.
All right, all right. So 10+2 with, so for students for this year, it's 10+2 with physics and maths. Right, and in addition, any of the entrance exams, it could be CET, it could be COMED-K. Could it be COMED-K?
Yeah, it could be COMED-K. It could be any entrance exam. Right. If they have taken another state's entrance exam, it's also okay for especially for the management seats. But for the allotment through CET and COMED-K, they should have taken NATA or COMED-K or NATA and CET, one of them.
All right. All right, fantastic. So good. I mean, that makes things a lot more clear. And as far as architecture is concerned, now your architecture program, from what I understand, there are 3 ways to get in, right? So number 1 is through the CET process. Number 2 is the COMED-K process, and number 3 is through a direct management seat. Is there any other way that I've probably missed out, or are these the only 3 ways?
No, there are only 3 ways to get in.
All right, all right.
There are only 3 ways to get in. Yeah.
All right. So in terms of the number of seats that you'll have for architecture students, right?
Yeah.
What are the number of seats that are available for architecture students?
See, architecture, we have 80 intake, and 36 seats are from CET, 24 from COMED-K, and 20 management.
All right, all right. So 36, 24, and 20. Yeah. Right. And let's take the first set of seats from Karnataka CET. Now the 36 come for all the reserved categories, right?
Yeah, all categories put together, 36.
36. So if it's just the general merit, then
that will be pretty small number. Yeah.
All right, all right. So students need to do pretty well to be able to qualify for that.
Yes.
All right, all right. Right. So hopefully we have students who qualify for that, and they're watching this.
So this is what ma'am has said. 80 seats are excluding planning. So planning alone has 40 seats.
Okay.
So
Okay.
of which again 18 are for CET, 12 are for Comet K, and 10 are for management.
All right. All right. That's interesting. And the CT process is also the for planning also goes through the same CT process, right? Where they okay.
Exactly.
All right.
So the advantage which right now the students have is they can either get through engineering counseling or through architecture counseling, both for CET and architecture. So what we have done is we have split the seats into uh, like 9 for engineering board and 9 for
50% of
architecture.
that, 50% of CET is through engineering, 50% of the seats through the architecture.
All right. So that's very interesting because it at least y'all can give the opportunity to multiple students who've even
Yes.
taken up
It is a
engineering.
multidisciplinary course, so we have given that option.
And more important, like at least like the awareness levels are really low in Karnataka about this particular course. So the whole idea is to kind of bring it in from both streams so people understand it's equivalent in between both architecture and engineering.
All right. On those lines, what kind of a personality for a student, like if how should a student decide whether they are looking for architecture or looking for planning? How would a student know that?
Okay. Here, first and the foremost thing, see, if you look at planning, planning is generally at the macro level. It is at the city level. It is at a huge regional level. Okay. So if a student is more focused, like for example, it's very easy to make out if a student enters a room and has a broad picture of what where is. Okay. So then not going into the details, then such kind of students will be more interested to look at a broader picture rather than the smaller picture or intricate picture. I would rather say intricate picture. But there are some students, you see, very, very keenly, they look at only one object, but they see the complete detail about that. They can reproduce those details when you ask them to rewrite. So those kind of students are really very, I think they are very much suitable for architecture, such kind of students. But macro level picture is something which a planner should have. And I think that's how it goes. But however, Gayatri will give you more heads up to this.
So just to add on to that, somebody who can think in multi-dimension, right? So here in planning, what we teach is it's not only how we design a project, but at the same time, how do we get economic viability of the project, like infrastructure planning. So and we have sociology into it, geography into it, topography. So all these are variety of subjects, like financing a particular project. So they should have an idea about everything. So it's like more of a multi-dimensional understanding which the student gets and who's interested.
And in addition to that, they should be able to, make some decisions like strategic decisions, policy making and all that, they should be able to derive out of this certain policies, and they can interlink with the government policies that are existing and how they can work out on that and how they can leverage benefits from that. All these are the things that they need to think about.
All right. Building up on this question, what would the differences in a job profile be? Like, what does a planner do and what does an architect do, for the benefit of the audience here?
Okay. Gayatri, would you like to answer or shall I answer?
Yeah, so I'll just start and maybe then you can take. So right now, the interesting part is like planners initially, like, I'm talking of 80s and 60s, where they used to get jobs in banks also, right? Like whether to give loan for housing sector, like for a house and thing, whether it's really, or like what amount of loan has to be given and things like that. Planners were given jobs. Now it's the same thing again, right? Now our students have kind of got into different sectors. Like most of it, like people think it's only government job, but not really. There are like NGOs they get into, and they get into that infrastructure divisions like smart city projects. So they get into different domains altogether. So the scope of getting into different jobs is more. Whereas compared to architecture, maybe after the 5th year, as soon as I register with council, I can start my own firm. which may not be immediately possible because the planning projects are of huge scale, right? So alone handling these things might be a challenge. So they initially work in teams. So that's like a broad differentiation we can think
I
of.
think that's a very
And
interesting.
there's one more thing very interesting. Whenever there are so many students who come to our college, we find that father is an architect and brother is an engineer, and like different streams they are. And then the child also wants to do only the architecture. Then I keep asking why. Father is an architect. One architect is more than enough. One another planner can be there. Then they can take large and very big projects. I think in houses, especially where there are architects and there are engineers, then you should also think in terms of having a planner there who can, it become a turnkey kind of a project. Take a big land and develop everything, construct, and also, design to the minuscule like any architect, everything, and give it to the client as a, with just a key.
Right. I think you brought out an interesting point here, or the differences have come out very well in the sense that, the planners would look at an overall scale
Yeah.
of a larger, maybe a larger project as such,
Yeah.
and the architects would focus on the finer details of that large project.
Yeah.
So and you brought out a good point that people who are from the construction and architecture industry could actually consider planning as to diversify their portfolio and and family businesses and
Yeah.
professions. That's an interesting
Here I would
perspective
like to
brought
just
in.
add on. This was one question asked by one father, like when they came for admission. So we have both architecture and planning. So the father was interested to put his son in architecture. So he said, then I said, why? What is so interesting about it? And he says, no, ma'am, because we are into building and they're builders. So my son can sign the building document. So they're keen on that the son signs the building document. Then I said, okay, so when your son can sign, but who will give the permission for constructing the building? So that's again a planner which has to come. So he can sign on one building, but 10 such architects have to come for a planner's signature.
That's a very interesting way you put that across. We have a question from here by Bhavika KV. All right. And I like this question because she's talking about what kind of personality should a student have before joining an architecture school. I like this question a lot.
Okay, I would rather say let any student just walk in. We'll make them either an architect or a planner.
Okay.
It is our job.
Okay.
It is our job and our mantle that we should make them suitable for that.
But to build up on this, because this is a very interesting question, because I think students who probably focused, like Bhavika, who's focused on becoming an architect, she's probably looking for, what she can do before the course joins, right? How should she mentally prepare herself? Is there some skill that she can learn beforehand so that she can get into the
See, that was something which the government of India should have done. They should have already, CBSE should have introduced those kind of programs right at the start itself from 6th standard itself, which is not being done. This new NEP is focusing on such kind of thing. So the schools will be given that impetus to reinforce on the students depending on their calibers and, knack and flair and all those kind of things. So in fact, we had sent it across after we got the funding from the IST and this one AICT for the skill mapping orientation. We sent across to CBSE and all these people saying that we need to introduce especially courses such as architecture, everything, right at the start itself, so that they know what it is by the time they come to 12th standard. And instead of just coming to 12th standard and then deciding, okay, we want to do architecture and getting into some kind of training program, and then finally with the, whatever the training is done and everything, but the details of the architecture is something which needs to be started only at the collegiate level, where they really start working on the project and the plans. So this was something which I had returned to the government and all those things. But now I'm very happy with NEP 2020, which is already going to be taking care of that. Right at the from the 6th standard itself, they'll start building these kind of whichever the student is good in. I mean, they are good at. They want to reinforce on that. That is something which is going to come up. Like.
Right. So the future.
Just to be a little
Right.
more precise for Bhavika especially, so for architecture, she should be more observant, right? She needs to find out every detail. Like when she goes around and when she's taking a walk in the street, she can understand all the elements of the building, different features of the building, which she can, that's very important. Observation is very important. And in terms of planning, I would say having knowledge on the current affairs, what is happening at the national
Absolutely.
level, state level, to the ward level, what are the changes which are bringing, things like that, which will help very specifically to kind of shine in that particular subject.
In fact, these both are useful for both of them, because when when the architects look at the current affairs, they will know that the trend of the future buildings. Recently, as 2 days back, I saw some building in Dubai is going to be constructed, which is kinetic architecture. Okay, and you can really see the building, changing the elevations every now and then going around, turning and opening up, and all these kind of things. This is something which is going to be a new genre architecture, which is going to come up. So current affairs is something which is very important for new material, new technology, new know-how, new workmanship methods, and the skills that are coming out in the market. All this is very much important, because when we are talking of constructing a building, there are so many elements that are there that needs to be looked into, and it cannot be just learned only through bookish. They have to be highly practical and go around, and that comes through from this current affairs. Likewise, in the planning, when they have to design on the layouts and all that, they should know that surrounding how it is beyond the particular layout area that is given, or a city limits or whatever. Beyond that, what is happening? Because you cannot change a total typology of lifestyles, everything, because there is an inflow from outskirts to the inner of the cities and all that. There has to be some balancing done. So I think overall, in terms of knowledge and know-how, both of them have to look into. But yes, planners needs to have little bit of, they will in course of time learn something about the statistics and all that. And those things architects won't learn. Architects will learn more in terms of costing and this and that kind of thing. In future will be certainly integrated with the costing factor quite a lot.
All right. So if I have to summarize what you all have just discussed, all right. So there is one aspect of before joining the school and one aspect of after joining. So before joining the school, what is important is for an architect, observation skills, knowledge or general knowledge of current affairs, and more importantly, from what I gathered, a curiosity or a passion for and an inherent interest for architecture is what I gather, right?
Yes.
And once a student joins your school, then you have the proctorial system that actually helps fine-tune that interest and that passion and make sure that they get that direction, so that y'all can guide them into, you can identify and guide them into the area of their interest. So this is what I get.
Absolutely. And in addition to that, our school has got certain other very important aspects. First and the foremost thing, we have got the maximum number of researchers. I mean, we have got PhDs who are ready to undertake any kind of researchers, and many are completing PhDs now. So with the result, I think we are the only school having maximum number of PhDs and maximum numbers who are going to be getting PhD shortly. That is one thing. So this helps in a lot of innovations and, technical open hub, which we were talking about. That technical open hub has got so many elements in that. That has an engineering aspect. As I said, we were talking about artificial intelligence, nano, and all those. All those things can be experimented, and students come out with architectural materials, architectural technologies, and all those things. CEAT is a body across in which is currently focusing on architectural technologies, not just designers. So architecture, if you look at there are a lot of things there, not just focused only to the design aspect of it. So these things can be taken up by now recently our BTU has given us the research center also. So we are the very tiny school having a research center as well. Okay, that is one about it. And another thing is apart from that, we have got reward and recognition policy, which is very different from the rest of them. We never give to our students first, second, third, and start differentiating them. Top 10 will be best achievers. Nobody will know that who are the top 10. So all of them will be always attempting with the, like in a blind area, they'll be attempting to always be the number one. So it is a continuous zeal to, excel. Always, feeling like they look at the teachers to know whether they are number one or somebody else is number one. But we never reveal out to anybody.
You know that I think that is a very interesting approach, because I don't think there's a one size fits all situation for in this context, and especially in architecture. What I've seen is students learn from each other. They learn
Yeah.
from their seniors. They learn from their juniors as well.
Yes,
So
yes.
the entire environment of learning is the more important aspect.
Yeah.
Uh,
That is one thing that is we have. And apart from that, this the best thing is like, because we have this IGBC, Jam, everything, these chapters, and even ours is the only institute having Indian Institute of Architects chapter in India, okay, for the students. Okay, so what happens here is IJBC and Jamasocham AP, many of the students have taken up that exam. They have, they have qualified in that. And now when they take up the jobs, in fact, IJBC said that if your students complete AP, we'll give them the job, which will be at least about 15,000 more than the rest of the other students who complete the BR or B plan. So they'll have always the edge over when they have these additional certifications and all that. And then we have plagiarism software loaded in our computer systems. So students cannot just blindly copy something and cut and paste and then submit it. They learn about citation and all these things. See, one thing I would like to tell you, in India, what happens is IPR policies were very, very weak earlier. So that is one of the reasons why any country for that matter, when they are submitting the papers, they're very, very scared about their papers being, they're copied by somebody, and this plagiarism problems that are there in India. So while I was in Ramaya College, I still remember like one of the international conferences that was organized. People from China as well as Singapore, Malaysia, all of them, they asked me, like, what are you doing to ensure that our whatever material that we intellectual property we are submitting to you, it is being protected and it is not copied. So that was thing that was going about quite a lot in my mind. So I have introduced this particular thing in my institute, that they will not copy. If they copy, then they have to write the source of it and everything, and they cannot blindly cut and paste something. There has to be a variations to that, extrapolating into that, analytical stuffs have to be built in with that. So with the result, the students learn to use their brain. Students learn to think. We are in this world, we have found like very few people like to think. And here we make students think. That is the, I think if you can put it, what NITTE would give, I'll say we'll make them think.
all right, interesting. There's one question from Shivani Bangera, who's asking which one is good. Now I know there's a there's perspectives on this, so I'll start off with my perspective, and then we can take it on to y'all. So Shivani Bangera is asking which one is good, architecture or planner. All right. So if I have to put this across, so I'll just start off with my thought, and then we'll hand it over to the faculty here. So Shivani, I think it's a matter of understanding what architects do, what planners do, and see where you fit in and where your interests fit in, because both are good, right? There's no such thing as one is better than the other. It's where you fit in better for your personality and your where you want to be in life, right? So now I'll probably hand this over to Dr. Rekha to build on this.
See, the thing is, like as Dion said, is really true that it all depends on where your passion lies. Yeah, certainly you will not have equilibrium in your passion for both of them. Yeah, if you are looking at a macro level, so it would be certainly difficult for you to look at a micro level. You need to get trained into that. During that training process, if you get the interest, then you will develop that passion, further passion to stay on with it. So you have to find, it's totally your call, your heart call to say that, okay, this is what I like. Yes, sometimes, people don't like to see too micro picture. They say they are intricate pictures. They say, no, I want a broad level thing. I can see everything broad. In fact, both are very difficult when you are looking at the larger perspective. See, when you are given a large piece of land and told to plan, you don't know where to start. And likewise, if you're given very tiny bit and said, okay, you design, there also you'll see, oh, I don't have much big land to do it. So, when you have one, you feel the other is better. You have the other, you feel the first one is better. This is your take. It is totally your take. Gayatri, you please add on to this.
All that you need to know is you should gel with the other. If you're an architect, gel with the planner. If planner, then gel with the architect. Both are needed in the society.
Right. Very interesting. So we've just got about 8 minutes left for this webinar.
Few of the things here I'd like to add. We have got a campus of 3 acres with about 11,000 square meters of built up area. Okay, dedicated only for architecture, planning and design. So what happens is, like, they are all in one umbrella, and it is a highly eco-friendly. And if you look at the entire building design, you will really feel very proud to be part of NITTE to take up these programs. One, and campus has all the facilities. And when it comes to the fees, we never collect the complete fees at the startup. We always take the fees, only semester fees. We'll say that first semester you pay now, and second semester you pay after before the starting of the second semester. Likewise, like it goes alternate odd and even semester. Then we have got very good training and placement, where we ensure that our students are completely placed, and we do a lot of training which are very different, for which the management provides the materials for us, for which we do not charge the students. We provide the materials to students. Only where the marking comes, when they have to do something to get the marks, only there they spend the money. Otherwise, most of other things are given by the school. And it's a highly supportive management, which is very unlike in most of the places you find. Managements are either troubling the teachers or troubling the students or something. Here, we get, our faculty is very happy because we get our salary dot on the last day of the month. We don't even need to worry about next one. And the faculty undergoes SWOT, and just like student undergoes SWOT, we've identified the training needs for each faculty and the students. Student gets complete privilege to assess the faculty in terms of what they have taken from the particular faculty. And if they do not find the faculty suitable, like if it is a larger decision of the students, we don't keep such faculty with us. So the students stand a better way of learning in our institute.
All right. Thanks for that. There's a couple of questions that have come in just now. Again, a question from Bhavika, who says, ma'am, you said we should know what our passion is, but how do we get to know? Because as soon as 10th got over, we had to choose which branch we wanted to select without really getting understanding of what we will do in the future, right? So students are really probably getting into this field, may not be very sure of whether this is their passion. So what would you advise to these students?
Yes, Bhavika, here I would like to tell you, usually as we grow from the childhood to till 10th standard, if you look at yourself, 1 year you would have liked to become one particular thing, doctor. Next year you say, I don't want to become doctor, I want to become an engineer. Third, this keeps changing, but in midst of this changing, there are some things which you will say, no, I like this. I have been liking this from the childhood. That is something which is hitting your heart and you want to be. There are many people who say that I want to be singer. So, right from the childhood, they want to be singer, and you see them on the Indian Idol and all that, they would be doing only that job. Okay. So like that, you'll have to ask yourself, it is more, you have to identify yourself first. You have to talk to yourself. Talk to yourself. I'm reiterating. You have to talk to yourself, not to talk to your parents or sister, brother, and no. You have to talk to yourself and find out like what you like the most. And then you have to go ahead. See, till now, the government was not coming in total support, like they were not having this architecture planning and all as a program in till 10th and 12th and all those things. But now new NEP gives lot of provision for so many things, kind of an inclusive learning. So what happens is you will have all the kinds of branches which will prop up in your schools, where you will start picking up and saying that, okay, I like this, I don't like this, and you start segregating the talents. You can, based on your talents, based on your hobbies, you can easily make out what you like the most. That question only you can answer, and that is where you can say that I have passion for that.
I think, just to add to what you just said, I think the very fact that Bhavika has reached this place says that she has some inclination already. There's already a little bit of introspection already done, and she's reached this place, and all she needs a little support and a little guidance, and she'll find
Yeah.
that passion out. Okay,
Yes.
cool, Bhavika. Nice question, and very relevant. I'm sure it applies to you as well as a lot of students who are here. So thanks for asking that question. The next question is from PK, who says, with time we've seen many fields evolve. Where do you see architecture and planning in the future? And we'll end with this question because we are almost out of time.
See, evolution is a process. Okay, it is an eternal process. If you look at, I was just looking at what is happening in our universe. If you look at, you just go out and look in the night sky, and today what stars and those things that you see in the sky, probably say 2-3 years back you would not have seen, and hundreds of years of back they would not have seen this. This is a continuous evolution, is a process. Okay, now where do we see architecture? No, housing is one of the fundamental needs. To look beautiful, to use a space very economically, and to have a very good, fantastic multi-usage spaces and functional spaces. All these are the something which are mandatory requirement. It is like asking like roti, kapda or makan, which is important. All the three are important.
I like that. I like that analogy. Right. Right. So thanks so much. I think it's almost 6 o'clock, and we've come to the end of the session. And happy that we have had so many questions, and this conversation format was a very interesting format that was suggested by Dr. Rekha Jetty. So when I asked, said, okay, probably share a presentation, and she said, no, I don't want it to be a presentation. I want it to be a conversation. So I like that approach, and it's been a very interesting approach. So thanks so much for
Oh,
that.
thank you, Dion, for really understanding us, because we are really fed up with all these kind of presentations. Okay, and we love to tell you more in terms of talking and telling like what exactly is the school should be and need be. When we put in presentation, we can't put lot of things, and it looks like a full. Hardly anybody can read what is there. In so much of details will be there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And Dr. Gayatri, uh, thank you so much. You've been like your poise and your the way you approach your questions very nicely. So really, thanks for that. It was very enlightening to hear, especially about planning from your side. It was enlightening for me as well, and I'm sure it was enlightening for everyone out here. So thanks so much for taking the time out to come here and interact with
Thank
our
you.
students and parents. It's been brilliant, and
Thank you so much. Thank you so
we'll
much.
interact again. Just before we close, I would just like to share my screen right now.
So one last word
Let me
from
just,
my side. So
sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
no, one last word from my side to the students there.
Yeah.
Whichever branch they take, let them give 100% and come with an open mind.
Right.
The world is, the sky is the limit, so they can do everything after that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just I just wanted to show my screen. Are you all seeing the NITTE website here?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. One second. Stop share. So let me do this. And I really like the design of this building, and I really think the photos of this building really doesn't do justice to when you actually come there and experience the building yourself. It was a very, very interesting building construction that I saw, and I like that. And I
And
think that
faculty too, sir. Faculty here are most of them are from very top universities across the world. Dr. Gayatri herself is from ISC, IIT Roorkee, and then she has done her postdoc from UC Berkeley. And I'm from NIT and Anna University. Like that, all our faculty are from very top universities we are. And yeah, they have done multiple scope programs and all that. I think they'll be a good support for all the students.
phenomenal. And lastly, just before I close, um, please check the description of this video, this YouTube video. And in the description, you will find this link to a brief about the School of NITTE School of Architecture, Planning and Design, and you can click on this inquire button, and someone from NITTE will reach out to you. And hopefully, you enjoyed this webinar, and looking forward to a lot more interactions with NITTE School in future. Thanks so much, both of you.
Thank